is, and I think people come to it later also. So hold on, let's make sure my parents are here. We are live, but I want them to be able to join, and I might need to do some tech work with them.
Still trying to block my background.
Okay. I don't think I can control that for you. Let's see.
It's the Over the Ledge podcast.
Miss Garcia, what my girlfriend's actually from San Antonio. She wanted to know like what zip codes you're in charge of or you represent.
78245. I'm a Marbach Hunt Lane girl, so over by SeaWorld specifically.
Okay.
Trenco. I'm all inside city limits though.
I grew up in the Bandera area, Bandera in 1604.
Okay,
and,
I'm inside 1604.
I was hoping that maybe you could commit this evening to claiming Leon Valley for your district.
Oh, I'd love to. My son actually lives over there.
Okay,
I grew up there, and it's a very boring place. Go ahead.
We've got 2 viewers who knows who they are because my parents haven't joined yet, but let's go ahead and get started. I did, while advertising, I said it was our 7th season. It's really just our 6th podcast season, but that's okay. Amy, why don't you start us off? Yeah.
Ready? Welcome to Season 6, Episode 1 of Over the Ledge Live, the podcast, the #1, and some say only, political satire show based solely on the Texas legislature. I'm Amy Lowry, and we're glad you're here. Over the Ledge gives you a behind-the-scenes look at the shenanigans of the Texas legislature by decoding political headlines and legislators' behavior into easy-to-understand, rip-off calendar inspiration sayings. Google it, kids. Our very special guest tonight is State Representative Josey Garcia, who represents Western Bexar County. In her sophomore year, she is the first woman veteran to serve in the Texas House. She is known for her fearless advocacy for children in foster care because she knows firsthand what that experience is like. She is an author and community advocate with 8 children in her blended family. Please welcome Representative Josey Garcia, who is making her debut appearance on Over the Ledge. Welcome, Representative Garcia.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for having me. I'm excited.
Thank you. Thank you for joining it's your first time on Over the Ledge, and it is our first episode of Season 6, so very special.
Thank you.
Now let's meet our comedic guests for the night. First up, we have our beloved house comedian, Aaron Salinas. Aaron is a writer, actor, and director who loves to share a laugh with folks almost as much as he loves to share a meal with them. Please welcome Aaron to the show.
Howdy, everybody. Glad to be back. Wish it was under happier circumstances given our political climate. But hey, we take what we can get, and there's some good eating. So we got Michelin stars since the last time we left, so that's cool. I'm trying to be hopeful as best we can.
We can do it.
We'll eat our sorrow.
Always have been, buddy, for 30 years now.
Our next comedic guest tonight is rising stand-up comedian Bill Carroll. A technology professional by day, Bill is currently navigating his 2/3 life crisis by taking on comedy, falling in love again with Austin, and reassuring his wife this is all just a phase. You can catch Bill Monday through Friday on Microsoft Teams. Please welcome Bill to the show.
Yay!
Yay, Bill.
Great to be here, and happy last day of dry January for those that celebrate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know where I'll be in 4.5 hours.
Or no spend January, which I failed miserably.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, Marisa and I went 2 days before we're we need this off Amazon. It's been rough.
Amazon?
Yeah.
What? I mean, I'm not supposed to say that. Okay. Finally, we have the creator and the ruler of the Over the Ledge empire, who needs no introduction. Stephanie, how can it only be 3 weeks into session? Chiarello.
Yay! Welcome me.
Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. I'm glad y'all are here. Aaron, I did see something inspirational on TikTok, so it must be true. And it said, Eleanor Roosevelt tried to convince her husband to do certain things, and she stood up for certain things, and she lost sometimes, but she kept rising above it, and that it takes a while. It takes a while to get stuff done. So I think as long as we keep doing it, we're on the right path. And I did survive no buy January with 2 exceptions. One was I went to a garage sale for a deceased friend of my parents. So I bought something and I felt like that was okay. And then I was with my parents at Half Price Books, and my mom insisted on buying me some books. So what could I?
That's her
who could say
buying.
no?
Yeah, that's her buying.
That was her buying.
On her record. All right. Just a reminder, if you like what you're listening to and you're in a position to help, please become a patron at whatever level is meaningful to you. It helps us produce the podcast and any live shows in the future. Sponsor at whatever level is meaningful to you at patreon.com/join/overtheledge with no D, Lege. Now it's time for What's Up in Texas with our host, Stephanie Chiarello.
All righty. Thank you so much, Amy. Let's get started. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's legislative priorities this session. One of them is to ban all forms of consumable THC in Texas. Sources say that in 2026, after 2 decades in politics, Patrick is expected to be awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award for being a total loser narc.
Seriously, what a buzzkill. Like, man does not pass the vibe check whatsoever.
No.
God, it's not meth.
Oh, good way to say that.
I know. And every bill is personal. So what? Who hurt you? Who hurt you?
Oh, he was not, allowed under the bleachers with his friends to smoke a bone. That, and he was like, "Oh, you just wait." He just shook his little fists.
After being elected, go ahead.
Nothing.
Okay. You'd think I would practice these in advance, but I do not. After being elected Speaker of the Texas House, Republican Dustin Burrows promised that his door would be open to everyone in the chamber, even those who supported his rival, Representative David Cook, in the contentious race. Said Burrows, "I commit to you today every member will have a voice. To quote my favorite film, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be really hard. We're going to have to work at this every day, but when I want to do this because I want you. I want all of you forever, every day, you and me." And then he lifted Rachel McAdams. All right, big setup, but worth it. Prior to the vote, buses full of far-right Cook supporters arrived at the Capitol to urge lawmakers to support him, wearing red shirts that read "Ban Democrat Chairs" and "Betrayed by Dade," referencing former Speaker of the House, Dade Phelan. Betrayed by Dade? I want to be a fly on the wall on that slogan brainstorming session. How about "I got my feelings hurt"?
That's a good one.
Thank you. Or "Dustin will burrows this state into the ground." You're welcome. Is the representative still with us? It's always the
I think
challenge.
she's reconsidering her options.
No, I'm listening. I'm here.
Are you feeling it? Get it? Because it was a feeling joke.
2
I'm the
hours.
staff. She can't get rid of me.
2 hours after Burrows was elected Texas House Speaker, a group of evangelical Christians gathered in a Capitol meeting room to prepare for a, quote, "spiritual war" and protect lawmakers from demonic forces. Demonic forces in the Texas Capitol? I hate to tell y'all, but that call is coming from inside the house.
Nice.
That was good.
That's really good.
That was good. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you a comic or something? Good for you.
I do a little, but I also have writers. So, okay, those were written by other people. The next ones are mine, so get ready. Representative Cody Vasut introduced a bill to execute tax abatement agreements for property within the Freeport district. You know what Grandpa always says, there's no such thing as a free lunch port.
You got me. That's good.
Okay. Here's the alternate joke, right? He introduced a bill to execute tax abatements. Execute seems like an excessive punishment. Nobody tells a suit about Donna Howard's bill to make feminine hygiene products tax-free. Who knows what he'd support doing to women? Oh, wait. Okay, first one, the no free lunch port. We'll stick with that ending.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Representative Gertie's introduced a bill to issue groundwater permits to certain aliens. Oh my God, Independence Day was real. They are after our water. And I thought it was cowboys versus aliens, not Alien Brokeback Mountain.
What?
I don't know. I'm still learning. Because, he's helping aliens, but they're from the sky.
Hold on, I heard the animals. I'll be right back.
Okay, the best jokes are the ones you have to describe.
Mm-hmm.
The Texas Education Agency announced a $1,500 one-time grant for special education students in public schools. Wow, $1,500 whole dollars, says local parent Megan Smith. I guess I can finally get little Carol Ann 1/4 of one hearing aid. Meanwhile, the Senate wants to give... What, Bill?
No, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
She doesn't
Meanwhile,
need
the
one.
Senate...
She can feel colors.
Okay. Meanwhile, the Senate wants to give $10,000 per student for parents who want to send their children to private schools. Wow, $10,000 whole dollars, says local parent Chandra Nichols. I guess I can finally buy that second yacht. And finally, the Texas Department of Emergency Management issued an extreme fire danger warning for West Texas last week. I had to cancel my trip to Big Bend so I didn't set a fire because I'm so hot.
Ooh.
Thank you, Amy.
Nice. It is. So that happened again. Stephanie promised us this season would be different. Truth not tell me, Stephanie. I don't think that's what Yoda was.
Try it again. Say that again.
Truth not tell me, Stephanie.
Perfect. Wonderful.
All right.
Nailed it.
Okay, audience, let me tell you how this podcast works. On tonight's episode, Aaron and Bill are competing against each other for the coveted Most Knowledgeable Comedian in Austin award. This award is given to the comedian who knows the most about Texas politics according to the outcome of the games on our show. Stephanie, show the award.
Bum, 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 bum.
Whoever wins gets bragging rights and their photo on social media. Wow, a phallic bowling trophy. This is why we need patrons so we can offer a real prize. The contestants can use our celebrity guest 3 times total between the two games as a phone a friend. And no, they don't get the actual trophy. They get a tchotchke that Stephanie buys at Goodwill and sometimes gives to them. And let me tell you, they are fabulous.
They actually are. She has been awarded from the Texas State Fair for her hunting, her antique hunting. So she's great.
Thank you.
I'll take a small pack of antidepressants.
Oh,
you gotta
you got
win
it.
first. You gotta win, Bill.
Buddy, won't we all?
Now it's time to play our first game, Little House on the Prairie, a hodgepodge of questions about the 89th legislative session.
Wonderful. Okay, so Representative, they're going to ask you as a phone a friend, or you can chime in after I give them the answer if you have any insights into the question. Bill, you get to go first as our comedic guest. The question is, how many freshman legislators are there this session? And I'm going to get, it's multiple choice. Don't worry. Okay. 31 in the House and 3 in the Senate. 10 in the House and none in the Senate. 17 in the House and 10 in the Senate. Or 50 in the House and 20 in the Senate.
I feel like D is what I feel like.
Depressed. Hey,
looking at Representative Garcia's face, just I'm feeling D.
You're feeling okay. Well, I don't remember what D was because I made it up. The correct answer is 31 in the House and 3 in
Damn.
the Senate,
Yep.
which is still 100. That's 20% of the House that turned and 10% of the Senate. It's still
Your
a lot of
seniority
numbers.
skyrocketed.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's crazy.
And remember,
Well-
a lot of this turnover was due to the impeachment as well as the voucher.
Mm.
Oh, right.
So that's where a lot of the high turnover came out of. We lost a lot of senior members to retirement, as well as to some very high dollar and contentious races as well.
The Republican Civil War is what it's been called.
Absolutely.
Okay, Aaron, who is the new Speaker of the House? Is it A, Dade Phelan, B, Dustin Burrows, C, David Cook, or D, Ana Maria Rodriguez Ramos?
We've been talking about some stuff,
Mhm.
and I know you throw me these questions to see if I pay attention. Just throwing that out there. I'm on your game. And just like I told my second grade teacher, Miss Ramirez, just because I'm not looking at you doesn't mean I'm not paying attention. It's Burrows.
Yes.
Good job.
And you want to know how I remembered? I was like, oh, Burrows.
She made
Kind
a
of like
pun.
tremors. Tremors burrow into the ground. Tremors are bad. See, I get there. You just got to let this little ADD brain cook a little bit. I get there.
Nice.
Wonderful. Now, all four, well, except for Dade Phelan, 3 of these were the candidates. Representative, do you want to discuss a little bit about Ana Maria Rodriguez Ramos's race?
Sure, absolutely. I think when we are the minority in the House, a lot of folks just automatically assume that the only option for us is a Republican option for Speaker. And I think what we saw this session was a true contender for, a Democratic choice for Speaker of the House, and that's who Ana Maria Ramos came out as. She is one of the more progressive members of the House, and as a Democrat on the ballot, I stood behind her and voted for her as Speaker of the House. Unfortunately, we witnessed a situation to where it felt like the new coming regime, so to speak, was anti everything that we fight for and we believe in terms of social justice warriors and even veterans. And so I think that was pretty much a no-brainer for a core group of us to support our Democratic nominee.
Yeah. And I think she got 25 votes in the first round and then
Oh, wow.
11 or 13. I was impressed with the predominantly women, Democratic women who stood with
She
her.
got 23 votes in the first round.
Okay, Bill, next question. What is the political breakdown in the House? Is it 74 Democrats to 76 Republicans? Who laughed? Aaron, did you laugh?
I mean, I've been in Texas my whole life and been in politics maybe 4 of those years, and I know that ain't never happened.
Is it 50 Democrats to 100 Republicans? Is it 62 Democrats to 88 Republicans? Or 30 Democrats to 120 Republicans?
I feel C.
You're correct.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Nice.
You got it. Very
Thanks
good.
for not letting me waffle too far into that. I was about to like bail out on myself.
Oh, good. Well, we gave you one with the giggle, but I did work the 2007 session that was 74D to 76R, and it was certainly a different tone in that building.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron, which one of the following is not a priority bill for Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick? A. So which one is not? One of these things is not like the other. A, placing the 10 Commandments in schools. B, stopping drag time story hour. C, establishing the Bitcoin reserve. D, establishing the Men's Education Center at Texas A&M. Or E, educating Texas students on the horrors of communism.
I'm really hoping the men's education center isn't real, and I'm not hopeful. I am. It's God. It's. Oh, we have so many school shootings. Why is this? Why is this not a thing? I'm gonna say Bitcoin. I want to say Bitcoin.
Would you like to phone a friend?
State Representative, how are you? By the way, my lady went to Samuel Clemens High School. She's been off 1604 her whole life. She works for Empower House in San Antonio. She is very 210 proud. She wanted me to let you know. But
I'll take her to coffee.
oh, perfect. She'd love that. But I have there are just so many stupid things on here that it could be really any of them. I'm not surprised that it's Bitcoin, but which one of these sounds off to you?
The one that sounds off to me would be the men's group.
Oh God. Oh that gives me a little bit of hope.
That's the one that sounds off to me. I will say that I'm with you. I'm floating between that Bitcoin one as well. But am I allowed to look? Am I allowed to look at the
I've always wondered that on Wait, Don't Tell Me, if the people, look it up when they're getting the stories. I'm gonna recommend you go with what the representative is suggesting.
I'm gonna go with what the representative's saying, and
correct.
Thank God.
You're right.
God,
Establishing the men's or maybe I've just given him an idea, but I loved that it was that he wants to educate students on the horrors of communism.
It's when you look at some of these initiatives and some of these fights, like I have no choice but to feel like we're in the Twilight Zone.
Right.
Like there's no other rhyme or reason in my mind. And as a veteran who served in other countries and has seen other operations happen in the world, this is very bizarre to have these particular attacks happening when there's so much more that we can impact as Texans.
Yes.
I digress. I'm sorry.
No,
please.
This whole setup is just for you. The more you talk, the quieter we will be.
The fewer antidepressants I need.
you give us hope. Just a heads up.
That's right.
When we know you are where you are, feeling the way that you feel, it gives us it gives us so much hope.
Well, thank you. And I think that's very important right now, because you even mentioned, and I love that you all are taking a comedic take on this, because we really have to stay painfully optimistic. And a lot of times, we have to make a point, and sometimes that point is through comedy. People always ask, oh, why did you run for office? Have you ever run before? Well, I won class clown 2 years in a row in high school. So, comedy and, sharing your traumas and facing, the ills of the world today. I think it's so important that we have these conversations and are able to laugh about it, because let's be real. What's happening right now in terms of the executive orders that's been dropping down in the last week, it's terrifying. Yeah. It's very reminiscent of a time not too long ago in recent history. And it's very terrifying. It's a scared time for us. So I would just impress on everybody, keep smiling and keep laughing and keep that hope and stay active and engaged. We have to show up at that Capitol every day, because if we don't for us, then who will? Right?
Amen.
Yeah.
That's right.
On that inspirational note, Bill, which of the following is not an expected highlight of Abbott's State of the State, which will be this Sunday night? Is it A, school vouchers, B, pay equity, C, property tax reform, or D, build that wall?
I think pay equity is not going to be featured at all. I mean, I think you can tout all the other ones and not really do anything. Like, what was the first thing on that list?
School vouchers.
School vouchers, yeah. No, he's the pay equity thing. And I'm just telling you, like, I've seen people very close to me in the school system, and I don't know. That ain't happening.
You're right.
Equity is a bad word now.
That's right. Oh yeah, we were supposed to whisper it.
Yeah, it's a bad word now.
Wait, which one's a bad word?
Equity.
Equity.
Ew.
Right.
Oh, yikes.
Ew.
Because it's the E.
I'm gonna get it tattooed.
They come so
I'm
fast.
gonna double down.
Yeah.
My mom and I said she does a lot of diversity education training, and we were trying to come up with a new name. And so far, we've only got hippies for historically ignored people.
Oh,
we
I
haven't
like
quite,
that.
But oh no, this is for the hippies. So anyway, we're working on it. Okay, last question on this game, Aaron. Who is Nate Schatzline, and what has he been up to? A, is Nate a state senator from Lubbock and he's missed every day this session? B, Nate is Stephanie's new intern and he can barely answer the phone, much less take a meeting with a constituent. C, Nate is a representative and author of an anti-drag bill who is seen dressed in drag in a black sequin dress and dancing to the song Sexy Lady. Or D, Nate plays the Texas Capitol's mascot, an angry armadillo named Argyle, who shows up in the rotunda every Friday at noon to keep the spirits up in the Capitol. Who is Nate Schatzline, and what has he been up to?
2 points. If it's B, that's pretty cold because, like, come on, the guy's trying. 2, if his last name is Chatsline, he missed a real golden opportunity to be a DJ. I'm just saying. Like, that would have been, like, it's right there, dude. Like, come on. Like,
Shat.
Oh, that's even funnier.
Different occupational trajectory.
Yeah.
Ah, dang. Or
A little more explosive sometimes.
Schatzline's Chatsline.
Oh, Lord.
He's right there. He's right there.
I'll let him know.
I think it's the drag one because that is too specific.
You're exactly right.
All right. Context clues.
Representative Schatzline came in with me. We were freshmen together.
Okay.
And he is one of the more conservative members of the floor.
Not from what I've heard.
That's a very polite way of saying that. So my understanding is he said it was like either college or a high school creative project, but he was like, guys, I'm just playing a character. And I was like, what do you think drag is?
Do you think they go home and like
right?
And I will say a lot of times the behavior that we witness is really driven by their donor base. With 150 of us on that floor, I'm new to politics, retiring from the military. We don't get involved in partisan politics. We're red, white, and blue. We do what we have to do to get the mission accomplished. Whether we like our commander-in-chief or not, we still move forward with the mission. And so when I came into the House, I had to really wrap my mind around how we can make a change and an impact in Texas if people didn't talk to each other because of what color shirt they wore. Not even just what color shirt they wore, but the hue. You're not blue enough. You're too blue. You're not red enough. You're too red. Oh, you're purple. Like all of these things were things that I saw that were so divisive. And so a part of my trauma response is comedy and just going up to people and saying, hey, how you doing? I heard you was the most craziest person here. I'm Josey. Nice to meet you. And that's how I was able to make some really good relationships with some folks that, unfortunately, you see the public persona of what happens in Twitter space and Face Page and all those other sites that I can't keep up with. I don't follow social media a lot because I feel it distracts us from our mission of advocacy. It hurts my feelings when people say mean stuff about me, so I just don't listen at all. I just keep the mission moving forward. But some of the folks, they're good people. They have a good heart and they want what's best for the community. But there's some that we really wonder what the mission is in this realm. We try to treat everybody with kindness and respect nonetheless, but still question motives sometimes, all the time actually.
Amy, how did our comedians do in the first game?
All right. Bill may have to work a little bit harder if he wants those antidepressants because Aaron is leading 3-2. I believe Aaron has used one special guest hint, but Bill, I don't think you've used one yet, have you?
No, not yet. I'm trying to get a free one just by looking over at the representative.
Oh,
That's a good idea.
I'm trying to smile
Honestly-
at them all.
Kind of like,
Stephanie's got a terrible poker face for what it's worth. It's
Okay, look.
That's true.
just giving you the heads up.
All right, what's next, Amy?
okay. Let's see. We did that. And Laura Ingalls wouldn't know what hit her in today's legislature. Let's play our next game, Foster Care Psyche.
Oh, I don't know how to spell psych. It's supposed to be foster care psych.
Okay.
Okay.
Greek mythology. All right.
And I will tell you, I tried to make this game funny, and then I was like, nope. And I tried to switch to veteran stuff and make it funny, and nope. So this is just going to be some hard, true, false questions about the foster care psych system.
So use funny voices.
Okay. Bill, in order to be a foster parent in Texas, true or false, you need to be at least 21 years old. True or false?
I'm gonna go with.
Was that an I or a nay?
I. True.
Correct. You need to be at
20?
least 21 years old to be a foster parent. A parent. Are you shocked, Aaron?
Yeah, I would not have given me a 20. I would not have given a foster kid to me at
No.
21.
You have to be 25 to rent a car.
I know.
That's a good
Fun
point.
fact, I adopted my brother when I was 19.
Wow,
What?
that's a
Three.
good point. You
Yeah,
could
I
do
was
it
in
that
That's
young.
true.
Texas,
yeah.
though. I was stationed in Panama. I joined the military when I was 18. Got stationed in Central America in Panama. It was after the fall of Noriega down there. We were closing down some of the bases. And unfortunately, I grew up in foster care, and my mother was addicted and had my little brother, and I heard that he was going to be enduring some of the things that I had. And so while I was in Panama, I was able to obtain a lawyer in Florida and get guardianship of my brother, and he became my military dependent. So
Wow.
30 years
That's
later.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
Man.
Maybe we should look
wonderful.
at some legislation there because there's some 19-year-olds that would love to foster their
Yeah, that's incredible.
siblings.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what an amazing thing you did there.
seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, Aaron,
Mm-hmm.
true or false? You need to agree to a non-physical discipline policy.
Restate the question, please.
Okay. You need to agree to a non-physical discipline policy in order to be a foster
Oh,
parent.
like you're not gonna hit the kid?
Yeah.
I mean, I would hope so.
I would hope so.
I hope that's true. Oh God, I'm gonna be so sad. True?
It is true.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay. Woo! Now, psychological abuse, no problem.
Go crazy.
Oh, man.
But the physical abuse, we're going to ask you not to do. Bill, true or false? You must be married.
Yes. True.
False.
Would you like to phone a friend?
Yes, I would like to phone a friend.
He gave you one.
Yeah.
False. You do not need to be married. And so I think you get it right because I think the representative gave you the
I'm
information.
sorry.
Thank you. No, don't be
It's coming
sorry.
your way either way, Rep. It was good.
Okay, Aaron.
Hmm.
More than 20,000 children in Texas foster care system there are.
Okay, when did we switch? Were you doing Yoda the whole
My
time?
Yoda was
No,
way
I'm
better than
trying
that.
to
and you
different-
had
That was
do it
Fozzie the
again.
Bear.
I'm trying
Yeah.
different voices.
Just throw a waka waka in there.
Meow.
I forgot. I completely forgot the question. Damn. Say it again.
20,000.
True or false? In order to be a foster parent in Texas, nope. That's gone.
No, it's the
True or
20,000, right?
There are more than 20,000 children in Texas's foster care system. True or false?
I'm gonna say true because you said more. So I am thinking there's more than 20,000. So I'm thinking it's like 40 or 50,000.
It is true. I don't know how many more.
Oh.
Matt just said more than 20,000, but I think it's
Well,
2%.
unfortunately, they've lost a lot of them, so they couldn't get a real count anyway. But
Oh.
Lost.
What do you,
Yes.
excuse me, what do you mean
Track of them?
by lost some of them? What does that mean?
over 300 children are unaccounted for.
Oh my God. Like
That's
literally
all.
like lost records or like
Literally
physically they can't find the kids.
Unaccounted for
How?
that were in Texas state custody.
How?
Runaway?
Wonderful question that we would love to have answered. A report came out. We just received it not too long ago, and that's what they have determined.
There's suddenly just been, and then
Unfortunately, so the foster care system's been wrapped up in litigation for the last 10 plus years over whose fault it is that the foster care system is in such horrible shambles. You know, when a lot of folks look at Texas, I'm not a native Texan, you know, but this is the place that I chose for.
we need
my
to end the
program.
podcast.
Well, it's very important
I'm
when
joking.
we're military state USA that people understand that a large part of our population is choosing to move to Texas, choosing to, I tell folks, veterans choose Texas as their place to die. You know, this is a place that we look at as being one of the greatest states in the nation. And to be at the bottom of that greatness when it comes to caring for foster children or children that are impacted by such trauma, when we're a state that is about to put 10 commandments in our schools and we talk about how much we're trying to protect the families and children, except for ones in the foster care system. You know, it begs us to start wondering, is this an industry that's functioning as it's intended? And I'd like to think that we are not complicit as a state in allowing something like that to happen. But I'm confident that we will see some type of legislation that will at least allow us to get the needle moving and help save some lives of children. One thing that it's been an honor to do is to explain to my colleagues the value in foster children. Because I'm somebody who was incarcerated as a child multiple times, and I was a throwaway child. I was somebody who should not be here today as state representative, and I've been very very honored that my colleagues have accepted and been so open to my story and have even changed their very fiscally responsible views on some legislation to support foster kid legislation last session. It's something that I lovingly call the foster kid bag law, right? It's where you're kids that are in foster care an actual cloth bag instead of a garbage bag.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because there's a fiscal note attached to that it was rumored to be on its way to fail on the floor. That wasn't even my bill. But I knew what it was to be a trash bag child. And so I went up and I just shared my testimony on my experience as a kid who owned nothing but two sets of clothing in a big black trash bag. You know, it was very indicative of what society thought of me and what my own family thought of me. And so, you know, I think it's very important that we continue to have these conversations and we keep pushing that needle forward and sharing these stories and these testimonies.
Is that sorry.
You go.
Is that a bipartisan? Do you get bipartisan support for those foster care related bills?
A lot of times, yes. A lot of times we do. But there is more to it than the representatives agreeing that foster kids deserve respect or that legislation needs to change. We got to remember there is a lot of personality politics that play in the process. So never mind the idea that, hey, we have this wonderful bill that's going to save foster kids' lives. It's got to go through so many different processes, from committees to then coming to the floor. And, you know, I've witnessed times where somebody was upset over what somebody else wrote on Twitter, and the entire days of bills were killed. That's 100 and something pieces of legislation that are killed and cannot come back because somebody got angry at what somebody posted on social media.
Oh,
so when we're
my
thanking
gosh.
bipartisan support, I want to say, yes, my colleagues do support doing something for foster kids. However, we have an uphill battle to go because every piece of legislation comes with a VIG, if you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? And some people know how to pay the VIG, some people don't. Some people understand that there is one. Some people go their entire session not being able to move one piece of legislation because they're not willing or won't understand how to make the relationships to make the bill pass.
Right.
And then we need help in the Senate. We can get all 150 House members to agree on wonderful legislation, which we did last session. But again, if we don't have the support in the Senate side of the House, then the legislation goes nowhere. And when we have opposing same parties, but fights between lieutenant governor, attorney general, governor, speaker, all these different personalities playing in, we miss out on thousands upon thousands of impactful legislation, such as sickle cell registry. No, I'm bringing forward transplant legislation this session.
Oh, good.
Those are nonpartisan issues.
Yeah.
You would think.
They need a, what do you call it? A social media break.
And we also, I think we need a therapist. I really think we need a therapist, an in-house therapist, so you can just sit down, have these conversations. Because you're right, people get really emotional, and then they stop making good decisions.
State Representative, if I can ask, only because like this is something that I learned about because a friend of mine grew up in the foster system as well, and he talked about the trash bag, like the things that it does to your mind psychologically. I was always told that if you are getting rid of suitcases or large bags or anything like that, it's best to look for a foster care system in your area and donate those bags instead of taking them to Goodwill or taking them to a donation house or something, to send them directly to the foster home. Is that still true? Is that something that we can help with?
Is such a beautiful, beautiful gesture. You know, a lot of people throw away stuff. I mean, we're in such a consumer society, right? I remember being in high school. I played softball, and at the time I had lived with my aunt, and she was a severe alcoholic. So I threw myself into sports as much as I could be away from the house as possible. And I remember I had like an old pair of shoes that, you know, they like some old Walmart Ked style shoes. And one of my friends had this cool pair of Nikes. And I knew Nikes was something that rich people had. I knew I could never have them. But she was like, oh, yeah, well, I don't like these. Do you want to wear them? And I was like, heck yeah, I'll wear them. And she was like, oh, if they fit you, you can have them. Tell me why. I squeezed my size 7.5 in them size 4 shoes. And I wore them. I am not joking. I wore those shoes because it was something that wow. You know, so imagine you have one of even a little knockoff Michael Kors bag or something.
Yeah.
That, you know, you might have spilled some coffee in it. It's not, you know, or maybe, you know, you swapped it out for the season. Now imagine a little girl who, like myself, has had to run away from home with my infant sister with nothing. Literally no clothes on our back, no shoes on my feet. I remember the day as if it was yesterday. My mother was being so severely beaten at home that the only thing I could do at midnight was grab my baby sister and run for our lives. I had nothing. So there's some children who are going through these types of situations that we don't think about it being real life. We think about it being a tagline you hear on the news that happens somewhere else and it doesn't happen to us. You know, but sharing these stories and taking your items and take them to the battered women's shelter. Reach out to your state representatives and let us know. If you tell me, hey, Josey, I got all these bags, guess what we do? We find a way to come find you, get them, and make sure that we could take you to deliver them to somebody. There's a woman that we met the other day who's a single mom with 7 babies. 4 of them have autism.
Jeez.
You know, at a time where we can't afford toilet paper and much less groceries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just, I mean, that's a wonderful thing to think about, Erin, when you have your extra stuff, because at the end of the day, those HEB bags, that's
Go a
what
long
we're
way.
carrying, you know?
Yeah,
Well, honestly, it's disgusting that we have so many things about that are disgusting, but that we have a foster care system that doesn't make sure that we bring brand new items with foster care kids. Like,
Yeah.
what is this that we're even like, oh, even just a used bag? Like, what? Are you kidding me? Right?
I mean, you know,
but
when
I've got $1,500 for each one of those autistic kids to help them out. Don't you?
and let's
worry.
talk about that. I have twins. Both of my twins are on the autism spectrum. They were diagnosed at 5 by ISD, by the way. And you know, we're looking at $1,500 a month. Yeah, right. How about let's try 5,000? Because my sons had one-on-one aides. One-on-ones that had to follow them through school because they were set off by noises, they were set off by other students, and to protect themselves and others, we had to make sure that they had one-on-one aides. Guess what? Our ISDs can't provide that. The amount of times we would go to the meetings and they would try to talk me out of advocating for my sons, not because they didn't want me to advocate for them, out of budget necessity. But we have a school system that's largely unfunded, that's stretched with unfunded mandates like the recent one that we implemented for school safety. Why? Because in the wake of Uvalde, we saw zero happen in gun legislation.
Mm-hmm.
Zero happen. So what's the best I can do as a mom of 8 kids, listening to the parents of the victims of Uvalde screaming and crying just for a chance for their bill to be heard, all the way up until midnight on the last day of bills to be heard, and nothing was done. The very least that we could do was an unfunded mandate saying that schools have to do their due diligence to get an armed security guard to help protect our kids in schools. But think about, that's the time that we're in right now, while cities across this state and this country are paying $20 million for deer bridges.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
thoughts and
You know?
prayers, man. That's all we got.
So
Yeah. Well, we're going to put the game on pause. And what got you through your experiences? How did you become this success story with so many different barriers in front of you? You said you got arrested as a kid. You had these very abusive households. You were a forgotten foster child. And here you are. You joined the military. You adopted siblings. You have 8 kids. How?
you know, it's still hard to comprehend myself, to be honest with you. I go through some severe imposter syndrome a lot of times, and I found that a part of my defense mechanism is actually compartmentalizing my life. My name isn't Josie. No, that's not my God-given name. My God-given name is Jolene, like the Dolly Parton song.
Yeah.
And, you know, that name holds a lot of trauma for me.
Oh.
Because whenever anybody would call me Jolene, it was because I was in trouble.
Mhm.
You know, so I separated myself from being that person because the military saved my life. The military gave me a sense of purpose and belonging and acceptance that I had never experienced. I'm a biracial child of the 70s, at a time where being of mixed race was not okay. I had to use the outhouse in my own grandparents' home, myself as well as my other cousin who was biracial. While our blonde-haired, blue-eyed cousins were allowed to use the restroom in the home, we were not. We were called the N-word by our grandparents and our aunts and uncles. We, you know, were treated as sub-citizens by our own family. So this was something that we had, you know, kind of grown up enduring. My mother was severely addicted. I lived in the streets, homeless with my mother for a long time. I ended up having to fight for my life more times than I care to count. And it's by the grace of God that I'm here today, because over the years and looking back on things, you can't really understand the why. I had a lot of hate and a lot of anger built up in me for many, many, many years. And a lot of that hate and anger was towards this vision of who God was that people told me about. Because from the earliest time I can remember, my first incarceration at around 8 years old, I was given a New Testament Bible to read. And I read that Bible, and I always remembered hearing about how the Lord loves everybody and would never give you any type of pain that you couldn't handle. Well, when I'm being severely abused as a child, both sexually, mentally, physically, and I'm witnessing all these horrid things happen in my life, and this book is telling me that God did this to me. This is how I navigated my life, feeling like I wasn't good enough, so bad that I couldn't even pray for the health and life of my own children.
Wow.
When my twins were born 3 months premature, I could not pray for their lives because I was afraid that the Lord chose me to be the one who suffers, so he's going to continue to make me suffer by taking my children from me. And because of that, I would seek out people who had a light. And I don't know how I would know, but I would always know people who I felt like were faithful, who I could trust to pray for my kids, because I trusted that the Lord chose them to deliver mercy. And so, to be honest with you all, I'm here because I had the ability to listen to something greater than myself. The Lord put me in a place to where I collided with my chief of staff, now Farrell Clark, who was my brother in advocacy. We were two civil rights activists who just cared about our community. Our lives collided one day, and we had worked together every day to bring people food during COVID, to bring elderly senior citizens water and food when the power went out. We went to the border when there was this huge border crisis and women were giving birth to babies on the ground. We went to Ciudad Acuña and gave water out of our own pockets. We were people who saw a mission, a need to go, a need to not only fight in other people's countries, as my husband and I both have as combat veterans. My husband got shot by the Taliban. It is our utmost honor to serve other people. And it was not until I fully submitted myself to this service for others that I realized what the faith was, what it was in that little tiny book, what it meant to go through all the horrors that we do in our life. It's because we're the messengers of a testimony of value. We have value. And our lived experience isn't something that you can get from a book. This is something that we desperately need to hold people accountable, And so when I was asked to run, I said absolutely no, never, because I'm not one of them.
Wow. Wow. Well, now you are one of them. I'm glad. I'm
And
glad
I'm
you're one
glad
of
because
them.
we're changing what it looks like. And I truly feel that. I feel like I am being used as a vessel to change the face of what politics looks like. It's no mistake that some of my colleagues fly private planes to the Capitol. It's no mistake that we're in a 6-month legislature, meaning it's a part-time legislature. People don't have to hold down real-time jobs to work at over there. It's no secret why we only get paid $500 a month, $72 annually to be a legislator. It's because it's not meant for regular people. It's meant for the elite class. It's meant for the ones who are supposed to tell us how to live our lives. And so we're breaking that mold by, the Uncle Sam and my life in the military and my husband's life in the military. Our disability for our country is affording us the privilege to be able to afford to raise our families and still serve our communities.
Thank you.
If I can, because you got me near tears here, Ms.
Oh,
Garcia.
no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
I just feel I just start preaching.
no, in the best way possible, because like my dad and my mom, they instilled in me early, like, hey, these are, people who did work for you, like, Jose Angel Gutierrez and Dolores Huerta and Larry Itliong and Fred Hampton, and my parents instilled in me these people that did work for you. And I remember as I've gotten older, I'm like, well, that shit's gone. Like those people no longer exist. And like to hear you, and you're not saying it as a politician, please don't take that in a disrespectful way.
Right.
I can tell that you're not saying that as a politician. You're saying that as a person who has been at the front lines, who has seen, in war and in our communities, and understand that community is an act of resistance. And you understand that's like, if we don't do it, who's going to do it? So the fact that we have somebody like you in that rotunda gives me chills and gives me hope.
It's really an honor, Aaron. And like you said it, like you said, those people aren't here anymore. So what do we do and what do we have when we're sitting back watching our history being erased in front of our eyes? Like literally, this is American history, people. Like we're literally watching the past being erased in front of our eyes. And and I did something the other day, and I don't recommend it, especially during a time when we're in a very heightened political climate. But I watched Schindler's List the other day.
Oh,
Wow.
Eerie.
Now I watched it many years ago, right? A lot of us probably have, but I watched it the other day, and when I tell you that my heart damn near stopped, I would just implore anybody who is just watching what's just the world, what's happening. We need to not forget, Aaron. We have to not forget history. We have to not forget the struggles that the Dolores Huertas went through for us, because we're doing it again right now. We are Texas history. We are United States history. And what we cannot do is let that be erased right before our eyes. We have to carry on the stories. We have to carry on the testimonies about these folks, A lot of my testimonies and a lot of, I'm so blessed to be a part of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus and the Mexican American Legislative Caucus. And a huge part of our mission, especially our team Josey in the Capitol, when we go up to advocate in support or against bills, we're bringing history with us. We'll be quoting scripture, because what we're witnessing is people trying to weaponize what it is to be Christian, weaponize what it is to believe, weaponize what it is to love, weaponize what it is to be a patriot. And we can't sit back and watch that happen. So our mission is going to be to remind our colleagues what it is to be a Christian, to remind what it is to love our neighbors, to remind what it is to be a servant, and to what it is to be a real patriot. And these are very difficult times. We're literally watching a reel, I feel like, of history literally repeating itself. And it's such an honor that we are here. We are here to be a part of impacting that.
we have to, very much what you're saying, but we have to keep track is what I'm trying to do. And what I try to tell some people is right now, people who share my values, we're so outnumbered, and then you have to readjust what a win is. But
Absolutely.
What a win right now is showing up, keeping a record, telling people, and sometimes you're just a little thorn in their paw, but maybe it'll get infected. You never know. And that, but definitely the people who are controlling X and faith, like they are, and taking DEI out, it is like suddenly we're going to forget all this stuff that is getting removed. So,
well, it's a coordinated attack in the guise of equality. Like, let's not grandstand and claim that we live in a colorblind society. Like that is far from the truth. And even if we wanted to be colorblind, that's not the way that folks are behaving. And that's not the sentiment of empowerment. And to be honest with you, that's happening bilaterally on both sides. There's folks that are tired. They're tired of it on both sides. They're like, look, a lot of talk this session has been, we have a choice here. We can be a part of the 25 on each side, the outliers who are making the most noise, screaming and hollering. And we do need that. We need that resistance. We need those folks who are going to be the dial to keep, the right at the far right, the left at the far left, because there's an equilibrium that has to happen there. But the more that we can get to focus on the accountability of the mission. Like you said, this is documented history. We need to be able to have those conversations on the House floor that goes into those House journals that now goes into to litigation. The ACLU is going to come after all of this. And that's how they're able to get their ammunition for the fight, is by us asking these questions on the floor. And so that's something I wanted to mention to all of you as well, and all the listeners. You can be a part of this legislative process. Call up your legislators. You can call up our office anytime and just let us know, hey, we would like to hear this documented on the record. We have to make them tell us that they're not going to do specific things. Tell us that you will not protect foster children. Tell us that you will not fund our schools. Tell us that you will not keep our children safe in schools. You have to hold them accountable to that, so that when the litigation and, when the voters come out and have something really to vote for, that's when this is going to come into play.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't realize that. I had this general idea that, like, for history it needs to be on the record, but no, you're saying, like, actually it has very practical use.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, and a lot of times that's what a lot of the strategy is. Look, there's some very ugly stuff that's happening out there. Our only hope is to keep some very ugly legislation to being not as ugly legislation, and at least giving us something in the process to where we're not getting completely hosed. But, that's a challenge, because there's times in which last session proved it. We literally walked away with almost nothing for school funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also it's kind of important too, and a friend and I were talking about it, like when we just lump DEI, it feels like it's really easy to talk about. I think we need to say we're trying to eradicate, advocacy for Black people, for Latin communities, for mothers, for young people. Like, you need to say, like, who it's impacting, because sometimes when we're just saying DEI, it just feels so easy to just, like, yeah, well, they're rolling it back. Like, okay, what are you rolling back? Let's talk about it. Let's roll back what these companies are rolling back.
Well, there's an assumption that
what DEI means for Texas. It means our veterans. It means military competency. Yeah. Now military competency training is no longer, because that's a DEI program.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, and that was part, you were right, Erin, last session, that's exactly what we did. I remember specifically, I went to the back mic and I asked the question. I said, you do realize that when we discuss DEI, we're also discussing my twins who have autism. We're discussing those who have hearing impairment. We're discussing those with mobility impairments. We're discussing those who are veterans, who are military. That's who DEI is supporting. And, unfortunately, look, when you sit there and you hear all the attacks on, this is true, by the way, the way somebody's body odor smells is probable cause for stop and ask for papers.
Wow.
Oh no, we lost her.
Oh, Representative, you're frozen. Let's see.
Okay, maybe she'll come back. Ugh. Okay, so Bill, we're back to you.
Yeah, the streaming platform can only handle so much truth.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna remove her and see if she comes back.
God, she's wonderful.
Yeah,
Isn't she?
that was incredible.
Amazing.
Anybody else thinking about moving to West San Antonio?
Yeah, no kidding. I want her to rep me, man. She's,
Yeah.
and I think she's like, oh man.
So, Bill, true or false? Children in foster care experience mental illness at a rate almost 30% greater than the average population.
Almost. I feel like that would be false, because it would be higher, I think.
I'm sorry, it is true. I know.
I see where you're going, though, Bill. I see where you were going.
Yeah.
You were trying to Price is Right it. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, these questions aren't price right. I should fix that. Okay, Erin, last question. These are all downers, by the way. Children of color are removed by CPS at the same rate as white children.
False.
Correct. It's 2.5% for white kids, 4.3% for
Damn.
Black kids, but 1.9% for Hispanic kids, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, huh.
Great. Well, thanks, listeners. I do want her to come back, so we'll keep talking. Amy, I had some additional questions that were supposed to be tiebreakers. Where are we? There's not a tie.
Aaron is batting a perfect game. Yes.
I'm getting crushed.
Okay.
Bill, it's your first time, so don't despair. I'm sure she'll have a few extra antidepressants the next time you come.
That's right.
Mint flavored. So I want you all to know you can get on the ground floor, mint flavored antidepressants, little Tic Tac box.
Wonderful.
Oh,
Okay, she's
oh,
back.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Rep, for coming.
Oh my
We will
gosh,
not
so
be
sorry.
silenced.
Yeah.
StreamYard
my
was trying to
goodness, I am so
silence you.
sorry.
No, don't worry. We finished the game, which was very depressing.
Yeah.
So you've already said it, but what is something you want people who don't typically participate in politics, and certainly not in Texas politics, what do you wish they were doing right now at the Texas Capitol?
Showing up, visiting the offices of representatives. I always tell my constituents, hey, yes, you could come see us, absolutely. We'll make sure we have snacks and drinks and stuff for you, a place for you to sit down and relax. But what we need to do is let's look for anybody who was against our legislation, right? Think of something that's very important to you. And we'll say one of my bills that we're working on is a dating violence bill. And it's allowing to teach about dating violence in school. Well, it was one of my bills from last session that we're going to bring forward again this session. It has some very good chances of making it. Well, we're getting our young folks who are impacted by dating violence to come and share their testimonies. And that empowerment of them knowing that they were able to impact Texas legislation, I think it's just a phenomenal thing for them to be a part of. Am I glitching?
You are a little bit. We're
Just
all
a
right. We
touch.
can
You're
still
okay,
hear
though.
you.
Okay.
We had,
Okay.
I'm sure they came and talked to you, but there were some librarians who came in to talk to you about the importance of libraries and not having books censored. And one of the things they talked about was all these books are getting removed, but sometimes a kid doesn't understand that they're experiencing either dating violence or violence in the home until they see something different than what they're experiencing. And they get to see that by reading a book in the library that helps them articulate what they're feeling and what they're seeing and recognizing that it's different and wrong. So, man, we're behind you. I know every single one of us is behind you, and all our furry pets as well. Amy, you want to take us home?
All right. Yes. Thank you. Let's see. Is that it? Yes.
And hold on, Amy. Is there anything you didn't get a chance to say that you would like to share with our listeners?
Yeah.
Representative?
I want everybody to try to stay as optimistic as possible. I know that the news and, even families, it's a hard pill to swallow right now. I have a very politically diverse family, and there's some times where we just kind of don't understand where the others are coming from. But what I'm asking is for folks to try to keep a steady head and realize everything has a process. It's so easy for us to holler and scream and want to flip a table over, but we have to keep our seat at the table. And the best way to keep our seat at the table is to be as diplomatic as possible. When you're going and speaking to your representatives, or you're going and you're speaking to folks who are against everything that we might believe in, try to find that one thing that connects you. Because you'd be surprised, more often than not, that's going to be something that's going to make them remember you. As I said, around 8,000 bills are being presented to us in the legislative session. 8,000 sheets of paper of people telling us how important their bill is. Now imagine you come and you share a wonderful story, or even a traumatic story. My stories aren't wonderful stories. My stories are very sad and sometimes very traumatic to tell. But I tell them, And when I do, I notice sometimes that when you're addressing an issue with that person, they treat you more with a kindness and a respect. You're not just a Democrat anymore. You're not just, oh, that far left, ultra liberal radical who wants to tear our government apart no more. You have now connected on a human level, right?
Yes.
And I think that's so important for us to remember, because there's a lot of hell and brimfire that's happening out there. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to talk about it feeling like the apocalypse, maybe so, but guess what? We've been here before and we can beat it again. You know, we're not going to stand idly by. We invite you all to the Capitol to join us in advocacy this session. And I thank you, Stephanie, for reaching out to me and inviting me for this opportunity. Bill and Aaron, Miss Amy, please reach out anytime there's anything I can share with y'all.
I think I can speak for Stephanie when I say you'll be back. We'll bring you
would
back.
love to have you back.
That's just throwing that out there.
Absolutely, I love it. I really enjoy it.
That's
All right,
awesome.
Amy.
All right. Thank you so much to our special guest, Representative Garcia, and our comedic guests, Aaron Salinas and Bill Carroll. Where can people find you next? Representative, do you have any events or anything where people can come see you? Anything special coming up?
Well, we're going to be at the Capitol next week.
You'll be busy at the Capitol. We can come see you there. She just invited us.
Absolutely. Please reach out to the Capitol, my Capitol staff anytime. And you could come visit. I'll bring you out on the House floor and let you sit in somebody's seat.
Aaron, how about you? Do you have any performances?
I have a performance coming up in May. I'll get more details as that comes along. But if I can, just plug real quick, please check your community outreach programs that have things available. ATX Free Fridge is a great resource. There's free fridges all across the city where you can drop off perishables, non-perishables. They have a fridge literally there that you can stock items with. You can also leave clothes and bags that your community are able to use as well. So just look them up on ATX Free Fridge. There is also an SATX Free Fridge community as well. So like I said, community is an act of resistance, and we got a lot to resist, y'all. So please, please, please help your neighbors out.
Good idea. Bill, how about you? Do you have performances?
Other than Microsoft Teams,
Right.
no, not really. But I did want to say that what an amazing night. And Representative Garcia, you talked about looking for the people that are the light, and here you showed up tonight, and I feel like that you were the light here, and what a treat. I really look forward to just seeing what you do and supporting you and your colleagues. So thank you very much, and maybe I'll move to West San Antonio. So
thank you so much. Well, I need friends in Austin too, so I'll have to come see y'all. And one more little tip I'll drop on you. I'm actually working on some entertainment legislation.
Oh,
I want to keep Texas talent in Texas.
Oh,
Hey.
nice. Coming to your house. Yeah.
That would be great. Stephanie, you have a performance coming up, don't you?
I do. Actually, the listeners won't know about this, but tomorrow night I'm at Cold Town Theater for Valerie Nee's
Oh, yeah.
Half Empty, Half Full, which is a fun show. I'm one of the judges this time. And then on February 10th, I have stand up at Lazarus Brewing on Airport at 7:00.
All right.
Sick.
Thank you to our Over the Ledge humble and gracious leader, who we call behind her back the podcast Wraith, Stephanie Chiarello.
Thank you, Amy Lowry, for guiding us through this episode. Just remember, she's glad you're here. Amy, where can people find you next?
I don't have any performances coming up, but I am finishing up a CD soon. It's
nice.
Jazz, so it'll be there. It'll be on your iTunes soon. And that's our show. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our podcast wherever you get yours. Like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok as at Over the Ledge.
We have an account. I don't know if there's any content.
I got that
All right.
beach suit right behind me, and my girlfriend's got Lady in Eagle Pass. I'm sure I can figure something out to do.
We can. All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you,
everybody.
Representative.
Thank you, Representative.
Yes,
Thank you,
this is
Representative. You're
wonderful.
fantastic.
Okay.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
God, what a firecracker, man.
She
Oh my
was amazing.
God.